Hello, everybody. Aldo J here. Happy Saturday. I hope you're all doing well. So I did follow up. I know I said in my last video that I would answer a question from Lou from Memphis, who reached out about what do I feel about using AI, right? Artificial intelligence in music creation. Well, we're going to get to that. I'll give you my feelings on it again, and that's all that is. But before I start there, I wanted to thank the band Steve, Jim, Ernie, Don, and Jim. There's another Jim, Castelli and Callista, right? Jim Callista is the original guitarist, along with me, with Hygh Risque, that along with my brother came up with the song I Don't Remember Yesterday. And Ernie Attella, our vocalist, wrote the lyrics to it. Don put his bass lines to it, and then I was asked to put keyboards on it. But Steve and Jimmy are the driving force of that song, and I want to thank them because a lot of people are liking it, and the video is doing well. And I just hope. Unfortunately, the American Cancer Society did not back us this time. If they backed us, there's no doubt that the video would have gone viral. I know it would have. And for those of you that don't know, Hygh Risque originally formed many years ago on the premise of my mother and Steve's mother passing away from cancer in 1991. And we formed shortly afterwards. And the premise of the band was to do a benefit concert to the American Cancer Society in memory of our mother, Joan D. Batelli. We eventually did that, but we also recorded some original songs along the way. So just so you know, I Don't Remember Yesterday is now released on Apple Music Video and Vivo, Vevo. Vevo is a platform for artists. So it's really neat to be included in such a video platform where there's a lot of famous bands out there. So I think that's really cool. So thank you again for all of your support. Please subscribe below to the channel. Tell others about our songs. I really appreciate the comments that you're giving us on the channel. It tells us that we're doing something right, that we've reached your heart, your mind, and that's what music is all about, right? Music is about emotion. It's about transferring feelings and emotion to the listener, right? And most of it is done through obviously notes and chords and solos and everything else, but it's done through experience, right? A good heartfelt ballad or a heavy rock song is usually based on some sort of experience that the artist has experienced in their life one way or another, right? And that really is where a lot of good stuff comes out of. And some, like I said before, some artists are good at coming up with things on the fly, looking out the window, seeing a bird or a dove or something, and all of a sudden, boom, they got a lyric, they got a chorus. Others need something traumatic to happen to them, and that's usually like me. I need for a love song, I guess in one way I was thinking positive, but for like out of control, my life was out of control. My brother's life was out of control at the time. And we had that riff, we came up with it. I presented it to Ernie, and Ernie came up with lyrics, and boom, done. So real briefly, make sure that you never ever throw aside even two chords together, because it might be something that somebody could build on. All right, so now to get to the nitty gritty of this video. You asked me, or Lou from Memphis, Tennessee asked me, how do I feel about using AI technology in music? Well, Lou and others, let me just tell you this. There's pros and cons with everything. Now, if I look at the pros of AI is very quick. It's very easy transcribable from a set of lyrics, and it can give you a mood. You can put in a genre, you can put in a mood. You could say, I want this to be a melancholy song, and here it is. I fell over and tripped in the rain, blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing you know, you have a song. Okay. Now, if you're promoting yourself as an artist and you're a bricklayer and you know nothing about music, are you really an artist, or are you just anybody just putting in a couple of lyrics and pressing, generate? That's where I have a problem with AI doing it to that magnitude. Because there's people that are putting out songs left and right that I'm like, unless you're Mozart or Beethoven, where are you coming up with 500 songs in a month? There's no way. You have to be doing something technologically driven like that to come up with a song. And then when you see the person, and they'll tell you, oh, I just hummed a few lyrics into this microphone and it came out with a song. So I don't know. Now, let's look at it from another angle. Let's say I am a musician, which I am, but I'm recording a song. I wrote the lyrics. I wrote the bass line, let's say. I wrote the guitar parts. But I want this to have orchestration to it, right? Do I have the money to go out and spend to hire a 17-piece orchestra? Probably not. Most people don't, right? So you would say to AI, give me, I want to, this piece is an F sharp minor. Give me a, click, generate something in F sharp minor. And you might use that and create a track separately from your other tracks and you mesh it all in. You're still the creator, you're the composer. That's a little different story than the first one I mentioned, right? Where a 2-year-old can go in and say, Mary had a little lamb, click. And now all of a sudden there's a rap version of Mary Had a Little Lamb and she's claiming to be an artist, right? That's where I have a little trouble with that. Now, Paul McCartney, everybody knows Paul McCartney. He's one of the most talented musicians of the last 50 years, 60 years. I mean, obviously with the Beatles, Paul McCartney and the Wings, he's just a phenomenal musician all the way around. Composer, bass player, vocalist, the whole deal. I believe I read somewhere, and I don't have all the facts 1 through 10, but I do know that Paul McCartney recorded some recent songs and he used AI technology. Now, I guarantee you he didn't use AI technology to play the bass because that's what he does. He may have used it for something else. Now, let's scrap AI. Pretend AI is not even here. When you're using a keyboard, many keyboard players today, right? They have a setting on their keyboard for strings. They want to do a song and they need violins or, a brass section. Are they really, when you're hearing a trumpet play and this and that, is it really a true brass section? Of course not. It's a setting. It's an effect within the keyboard setting, right? Does that mean that he didn't write the song? Of course not, right? So that's different. I think if you use AI in that sense, fine. But if you're going up and you're clicking on AI and claiming to be an artist when you know nothing about music, then I think you're cheating the public. That's to me is a totally different thing. Now, another thing, album cover designs. I think if you want a fast album cover, and you don't, most musicians, especially unknown artists, indie artists and all, they're not sitting there raking in cash, right? Unless they've been born into the, royalty, right? So you may not have the money to go out and spend for a song that's been, you don't even know how it's going to do, right? So you go out and you grab a thing and you type in a theme for an AI generation for an album cover. To me, I see nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now, you're not going to see Heart or Van Halen or Aerosmith or any of these bands, right, going out and doing that because they have the money. They can afford to get somebody to go and hey, here's my concept. Paint it up for me. I don't care. Here's $10,000, whatever, right? So the guys that, I mean, a lot of people have reached out to me personally and they're like, yeah, this is AI. Well, guess what? Sorry, you're charging me $300 for a song that, come on, for one song? I'm not going to pay that. It's ridiculous. And why can't I do something in AI? To me, that's different. That's different. But again, if you have different thoughts about using AI for certain reasons and stuff, feel free. Leave a comment below. Subscribe. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Again, no one's right or wrong here. There's budgets that have to be considered. The wrong that I think again is really the one piece is claiming to be an artist when you're not an artist. And you know nothing about music, you know nothing about what a C chord is or a D chord or an E chord, and you're claiming to be, an artist pumping out songs that all you did was go, I tripped over a brick, my brain is real thick, run. And now you're generating a song and making millions. That's where I think AI has gotten out of tune. But anyway, thank you for listening, folks. Stay tuned for Now That You're Gone. That's coming out Friday, January 16th. Subscribe below, listen to our songs, like them. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Go Birds tomorrow against the Commanders. See you, gang. Take care.